Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Deepa. Today we will learn about the posterior compartment of the forearm. The posterior compartment of the forearm is also known as the extensor compartment of the forearm or simply called as the back of the forearm. As we all know that the entire forearm is divided into two compartments, that is anterior and the posterior compartment. This posterior compartment contains in total 12 muscles. Yes, the posterior compartment of the forearm in total contains 12 muscles as a whole. These 12 muscles are divided into two categories, that is the superficial group of muscles and the deep group of muscles. The superficial group of muscles are in total 7 in number, whereas the deep group of muscles are 5. So, out of the 12 muscles of the posterior compartment, there are 7 superficial group of muscles and the 5 deep muscles in the compartment. So, we will study in detail about the 7 superficial muscles of the extensor compartment, their nerve supply and the actions of these superficial muscles in this video. We will look for the deep muscles in detail in the upcoming next video. So, coming to the posterior compartment, that is the superficial muscles of the posterior compartment. This is how the compartment, that is the posterior compartment, appears once the deep fascia of the extensor compartment is been exposed. Extensor surface is been exposed. Once we expose the skin superficial fascia, the entire extensor surface of the forearm is filled with the extensor group of muscles, which are seen to be very compactly arranged. What we see here is nothing but the arrangement of all the superficial muscles over here. Now here we can make out just adjacent to the wrist joint, that is just above the wrist joint along the back of the forearm, all the long extensor tendon are seen to pass through the retinaculum, which is named as the extensor retinaculum. Extensor retinaculum. So all the deep muscles, all the extensor tendons, long extensor tendon reach the hand, the dorsum of the hand, by passing deep to this extensor retinaculum over here. The 7 superficial muscles of the extensor compartment are: number 1 is the anconeus muscle. The anconeus muscle, it is a small, short, triangular muscle present just posterior to the elbow. This is how it appears. It is a triangular muscle just back to the elbow. So, the muscles of the posterior superficial group are: number 1 is the anconeus muscle. Then next comes the lateral most muscle, that is the brachioradialis. Brachioradialis. Medial to the brachioradialis comes the extensor carpi radialis longus muscle. Next comes the extensor carpi radialis brevis muscle. Then lies the extensor digitorum, adjacent to which lies the extensor digiti minimi, and the medial most muscle is the extensor carpi ulnaris. Extensor carpi ulnaris muscle. So these are the 7 superficial muscles of the posterior or the extensor compartment. Yes, the arrangement of these muscles from lateral to medial. Yes, we can see here all the superficial muscles of the back of the forearm take its origin from this point, that is the point on the lateral epicondyle of the humerus. The point on the lateral epicondyle of the humerus, which acts as the common extensor origin. So the point on the lateral epicondyle of the humerus is the common extensor origin, from which all the superficial muscles of the back of the forearm take its origin from. So from lateral to medial side, the arrangement of muscles is in this fashion. That is, most laterally lies the brachioradialis. This brachioradialis also make up the lateral boundary of the fossa, that is the cubital fossa. So the lateralmost muscle comes the brachioradialis, adjacent to which lies the extensor carpi radialis longus and extensor carpi radialis brevis. Medial to this brevis muscle comes the digitorum, that is the extensor digitorum muscle. Then comes the extensor digiti minimi, and the medialmost muscle in the extensor compartment is the extensor carpi ulnaris. So these are the 7 superficial muscles of the extensor compartment. This is the dissected view of the forearm, the back of the forearm, showing the muscles, the lateral muscles, that is the superficial muscles of the back of the forearm, which lies along the lateral side, along the radial side of the forearm, are 3 in total, that is brachioradialis, extensor carpi radialis longus and extensor carpi radialis brevis. Along the middle comes the extensor digitorum, and along the medial border runs the extensor carpi ulnaris along with the extensor digiti minimi. Moving on to the attachments of the muscle one by one. So to begin with, the lateralmost muscle, that is the brachioradialis. As the name itself says, this is the largest muscle, a large extensor muscle extending from the brachio. The word brachio refers to the brachium, that is the arm. So extending from the arm till the radius, that is the base of the distal end of the radius, hence called as brachioradialis. So the origin of this brachioradialis is from the lateral supracondylar ridge of the humerus. Yes, the entire lateral supracondylar ridge, that is the upper 2/3 of the lateral supracondylar ridge, gives origin to the muscle brachioradialis. This muscle descends down, crosses the elbow joint, runs along the lateral border to get inserted onto the distal end of the radius just above the styloid process. So this is about the very first and the lateralmost muscle, that is brachioradialis. So this brachioradialis mainly take part in the flexion of the forearm. Just medial to the brachioradialis lies the muscle, that is extensor carpi radialis longus. The extensor carpi radialis longus also take its origin from this lateral supracondylar ridge, The entire lateral supracondylar ridge, when we see here, gives attachment to 2 muscles, that is the upper 2/3 of the lateral supracondylar ridge is occupied by the brachioradialis, whereas the lower 1/3 is occupied by the extensor carpi radialis muscle. So the origin of this extensor carpi radialis longus is from the lower 1/3 of the lateral supracondylar ridge of the humerus. From this point of origin, this extensor carpi radialis longus muscle descends down. The extensor carpi radialis muscle descends down to reach the hand, the dorsal surface of the hand, where it gets inserted onto the base of the dorsal surface of the second carpal bone. Yes, the insertion of the muscle extensor carpi radialis longus is over the dorsal aspect of the base of the second metacarpal bone over here. So this is about the attachment of the second lateral muscle extensor carpi radialis longus. Along just deep to this longus muscle lies the brevis muscle, that is extensor carpi radialis brevis muscle, which takes origin from the common extensor origin, that is the lateral epicondyle, descends down, crosses the wrist joint by passing deep to the extensor retinaculum to get inserted onto the base of the second and third metacarpals on its dorsal surface. So this is about the brevis muscle, the radialis brevis. Just medial to this extensor carpi radialis brevis lies the digitorum muscle, that is the extensor digitorum. Extensor digitorum over here. The extensor digitorum again taking origin from the common extensor origin, that is over the lateral epicondyle, descends down just above the wrist joint. We can see the tendon of the extensor digitorum dividing into four. It divides into four tendons for the medial four digits, passes through the wrist joint deep to the extensor retinaculum to reach the metacarpophalangeal joints. Once each tendon crosses the metacarpophalangeal joint, it spreads out into a triangular band to form the dorsal digital expansion. So this dorsal digital expansion represents three slips. It represents three slips, the median band and the lateral two bands. The median band of the dorsal digital expansion gets inserted onto the middle phalanx, whereas the lateral bands get inserted onto the distal phalanx of the corresponding fingers. So this is about the extensor digitorum, insertion of the extensor digitorum. I repeat, the origin of this extensor digitorum is from the common extensor origin. It descends down, divides into four tendons. Each tendon reaches the medial four fingers. Now, what is the fate of these tendon? Each tendon, once it reaches the proximal phalanx, forms dorsal digital expansion, which is triangular band having a median slip and the two lateral slip. The median slip is seen to get inserted onto the middle phalanx. It gets inserted onto the middle phalanx, whereas the lateral bands gets inserted onto the distal phalanx of the fingers here. So this is about the extensor digitorum. Regarding the action of this extensor digitorum, the extensor digitorum is involved in the extension of the wrist joint. It is involved in the extension of the metacarpophalangeal joint and also the extension of the interphalangeal joints. Moving on to the next muscle, that is the extensor digiti minimi. The extensor digiti minimi is the muscle which takes origin from the same point, that is the common extensor origin, and it runs along with the tendons of the extensor digitorum, runs deep to the retinaculum to reach the dorsum of the hand, where it joins the tendon of the extensor digitorum for the corresponding tendon. So this is about the extensor digiti minimi. The medialmost muscle in the superficial extensor group is the extensor carpi ulnaris muscle. This extensor carpi ulnaris takes its origin from the common extensor origin, that is from the lateral epicondyle of the humerus. From this, the muscle runs straight downwards along the medial border of the forearm to get inserted onto the medial side of the base of the fifth metacarpal bone along its dorsal surface. This is about the attachment of the medialmost muscle, that is the extensor carpi ulnaris. Other than these long extensor tendons, we have one short muscle, that is the anconeus. We have the anconeus muscle, which is one of the superficial extensors. The anconeus muscle, it is the short and the triangular muscle which lies just adjacent to the elbow. The attachment of this anconeus, that is the origin of the anconeus, is from this common extensor origin, that is over the lateral epicondyle of the humerus, or just behind the lateral epicondyle of the humerus, to be more specific with. Yes, the attachment of the lateral epicondyles, that is the origin of the anconeus, is not exactly over the lateral epicondyle, just the area behind the attached lateral epicondyle. As a joining part of the humerus just behind the lateral epicondyle gives attachment or the origin to the muscle called as the anconeus. So this is about the origin. This muscle descends down to get inserted onto the posterior surface of the olecranon process. The insertion of this muscle is over the posterior surface of the olecranon process. So this is about the short triangular muscle of the posterior compartment, which make up the extensor group, which completes the extensor group. This is the atlas view showing the vessels and nerves supplying the posterior compartment of the forearm. All the muscles of the posterior compartment are supplied by the posterior interosseous nerve. The posterior interosseous nerve, which is nothing but the deep branch of the radial nerve. Deep branch of the radial nerve which is called as the posterior interosseous nerve. So this posterior interosseous nerve supplies all the muscles of the extensor group except the three muscles, that is the brachioradialis. Yes, the muscles brachioradialis, the extensor carpi radialis longus and the extensor carpi radialis brevis. These three muscles are supplied by the direct branches of the radial nerve. Yes, so this is about the nerve supply. Nerve supply of the posterior compartment is mainly from the posterior interosseous nerve, which is nothing but the deep branch of the radial nerve, except for three muscles, that is brachioradialis, extensor carpi radialis longus and extensor carpi radialis brevis, which is supplied by the direct muscular branches of the radial nerve. So this is about the nerve supply. The vascular supply or the arterial supply is by the posterior interosseous artery, which is nothing but the branch coming from the common interosseous, which is in turn the branch of the ulnar artery. So these nerve and artery pierces the interosseous membrane to reach the posterior compartment and supply the respective muscles over here. So this is the easy diagrammatic view showing the nerves and vessels in the posterior compartment. The green dotted line represents the interosseous membrane. We can see the artery, that is the posterior interosseous artery, which is the branch of the common interosseous, which is in turn the branch of the ulnar artery, piercing the interosseous membrane to reach the posterior compartment. In the lowermost part, the posterior compartment of the forearm is also supplemented, that is the vascular supply is also contributed by the anterior interosseous artery also, whereas the nerve supply is from the posterior interosseous nerve. So this is about the superficial muscles of the posterior compartment, which are 7 in number, along with the nerve supply, the blood supply and the actions. We look for in detail about the deep muscles of the posterior compartment in our next video. Thank you.